Welcome into the DNVR Rockies podcast, brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Now, when you use promo code DNVR, new customers can make any $5 NBA moneyline bet and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. That's code DNVR only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you for joining us on this lovely Friday. I'm Suzie Hunter,
Christian
joined by
Saez.
Christian Saez.
Happy to be here.
I'm so excited that you're
here. And matching as well.
We didn't do this on
unintentionally.
Purpose. Leather jacket
but it looks
Fridays.
Good. Yeah. Love it.
If anyone paid attention to our company-wide Slack for leather jackets, you'll know this is the day we're all supposed to wear them.
Yep. Everyone else is missing out.
Crazy. We got so much news today. We actually have like 2 pieces of Rocky news too, which is like, so unexpected. And of course, it's the day that Patrick isn't here. But we're going to talk about some new additions. The Rockies 40-man roster is now full.
Yeah.
That's crazy because a week ago it was 32 guys. So some additions have been made. We're going to talk about the MVPs because we found out about that in the past 24 hours. We're going to talk about the All-Star game. We got some stuff to get into. Yeah.
A lot of good stuff.
So much good stuff. Let's start with, the stuff that actually is relevant to the podcast we're supposed to be doing. Some Rockies news. Brent Suter, who is a reliever from the Brewers, claimed off of waivers. And apparently he's got a personality.
Yeah, you said he makes some sort of dinosaur noise.
Yes. So his nickname is the Raptor.
Yes. Yeah.
Because he makes a raptor noise.
Interesting.
So I'm excited about this. Actually, I don't think anyone's more hype about this than Patrick.
So,
he's been freaking out.
Does he do this while he pitches, or is this like he does it in the locker room in the clubhouse type of thing?
I would imagine it's like a clubhouse locker room kind of thing. Kind of weird and intimidating, but pitchers also do that.
I was going to say, I've known a lot of pitchers who make a lot of weird sounds when they pitch, and I wouldn't be surprised if I've heard someone do a raptor sound unintentionally. I would expect it more for someone like Max Scherzer, though. Someone a little weirder.
He's crazy.
But I don't know. A raptor sound, you'll have to get that. First time you meet him, you'll have to ask him to sample that for you.
My first assignment at spring training imposed upon myself will be, okay, I need to hear it. Because I make a pterodactyl noise. Which is a totally different noise.
You guys are going to speak to each other?
So we're going to talk to each other in dinosaur speak. But
okay.
Yeah, Dinger's going to have a dinosaur buddy.
Love that. Yeah, that's always good.
Yeah. Kale, can you do a pterodactyl or raptor noise? Do you have a mic?
Wow.
He doesn't even have a mic, and he's giving us this goal.
It was good. That was good.
That's rough.
You can all imagine it at home.
That's rough. Yeah, you just have to imagine. It kind of sounded like...
I won't even attempt my own raptor. I have to save that for when I talk to Suter for the first time. We'll go with that.
Yes. But yeah, found some good headlines found some good quotes about him from the Milwaukee Journey Sentinel. They've written about him a bunch, but apparently Suter is speaking of vocal, he's also a very vocal environmental advocate. He is a 3-time nominee for the Roberto Clemente Award. And yeah, he's just a really liked guy. He's got a lot of personality. Apparently he's eccentric. I'm excited. I want to see this energy this weirdness inserted into Colorado.
I feel like that there's a lot of kind of underwritten value on people who bring a good personality to a clubhouse. Obviously you got to be able to play, you got to be able to perform, but at the same time, in an environment where you're struggling to find consistent talent, it can be good to bring in some personality. And I think back to the San Francisco Giants a couple of years ago when they ended up having the best record in the history of baseball, kind of out of nowhere. Gabe Kapler ended up kind of crediting that a lot of times to the culture within the clubhouse and how close the guys were and the different personalities and how fun it was to be around those guys. So I don't know, maybe, there's some value in a guy who has a good personality and can bring some fun to the clubhouse. You never know.
Listen, we always love seeing the guys who are just having a blast and just we love bits. I love to see bits in the clubhouse too. So I hope he comes up with more of those.
Yeah, it makes your job a lot easier too.
It gives us stuff to talk about too, especially during the dog days when maybe things aren't going well.
Yes.
But okay, another thing that I think is going well this offseason, my favorite reliever, our most presidential reliever, Tyler Kinley. The Rockies announced that they have agreed to a 3-year extension with the person who is not descendant of a president, but kind of sounds like he could be and kind of pitches like he is. But yeah, so that's going to go from the 2023 to 2025 seasons. There's also a club option for the 2026 season. But yeah, he's been out since July. Or he's been out, was it before July? But he's been out since, this past season. He had a surgery in July. So, apparently he's expected to be sidelined for a whole year with that. So we won't see him for a bit.
Yeah.
I guess, but...
Yeah. Seems like a pretty straightforward deal on their end. Nothing too fancy, nothing too unexpected either. It wasn't something that made you freak out when you saw it. It just, it's the deal that they needed to get done to build this 40-man roster, and they got it done.
I saw that, and I was just like, yes.
Yeah.
This is a guy that I want to keep around. I hope he's good after a surgery.
I know, and that is always the biggest question is like, okay, when you come back from injury, there's been a lot of guys who come back and they're better because you go through this rehab and this training and you kind of focus more specifically on it. But there's a lot of guys that fall off the wagon a little bit, and so, that's just kind of a toss of a coin. You hope that you get a guy back who's a little bit better, but we'll have to find out.
Yeah, hey, Justin Verlander came back better than ever. Literally better than ever, so.
Yeah, and he's at the latter half of his playing career and playing, a very, very high-level baseball. So, yeah, you hope that something like that can translate for a guy like Kinley, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We're going to see about some All-Star game news. Speaking of my own personal All-Stars, because, Tyler Kinley should have been an All-Star if it wasn't for that surgery or injury. Both. The Rangers hosting the All-Star game in 2024. We talked to the VP of Operations for the Rangers. But, first, before we get into that, we got to talk about being a diehard. Things changed over this week here at DNVR.
Big news.
Big news. Diehards. This is a thing. This is the thing you need to be a part of. So, listen. Watch parties. You get discounts on merch. You get discounts on your bar tab. It's absolutely wild. And if you're not a diehard already, you're missing out on those price breaks for Broncos tailgates, Nuggets party buses, the annual membership. You're going to get a free shirt every freaking year that you remember. That's crazy. It's such a good deal. You get extra raffle tickets for watch parties to win even more free gear and all access to the Diehards Only Discord. So listen, if Twitter really does go to hell and it doesn't exist anymore, you can still talk to us there. And I can confirm that Elon Musk is banned from our Diehards Only Discord. So you won't have to worry about him being in there. It's a fun time. So that's where you can keep in touch with us at the very least if everything falls apart. But listen, if you're not a diehard yet, don't fret. It is 50 cents for your first month at thednvr.com. And if you love DNVR, you are going to love Game Time. It is the hottest ticketing site that makes it easier than ever to score the best deals on tickets to sports, shows, maybe a Taylor Swift concert.
I was going to say, maybe they got to get involved in the Taylor Swift thing.
Listen, that's where I'm going to have to get my tickets for Taylor Swift because I certainly did not get them in pre-sale along with thousands of other sad Swifties like me. But listen, if you've ever dreamed of attending a concert you never thought you could go to or sitting in a seat you never thought you could, like the 50-yard line or courtside behind home plate, it's all possible with the Game Time app. The biggest last-minute price drops can be found on the seats you never thought you could buy. And you can save up to 60% when you wait closer to first pitch with Game Time. So the bottom line, if you love DNVR, you're going to love Game Time. The best way to support us is by buying your tickets through the link in the description of this podcast. Join over 15 million people who have downloaded the Game Time app and scored the best seats to all of your favorite events. And sometimes, Christian, the best seat is at your house.
Yes.
Only if you have a Vaca TV. It's the absolute GOAT in television, the greatest of all TV. You get amped up sports coverage for all Colorado fans. You get that regional content that you're not going to get from other providers. You're going to get Avs, Nuggets, DU, CSU, UNC, MSU, and you get the Serbia documentary that my DNVR Nuggets colleagues put together, an absolute masterpiece. But listen, the bottom line, or not the bottom line, but listen, We've got great content on there. You can see us on there. You can actually watch Colorado sports, which you can't do on like a lot of other providers. It's so frustrating. No frustration needed out of Vaca TV. So yeah, we've got a Nuggets pregame show tonight too, right, Kale?
Yep, 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Be there.
The Nuggets are playing too early for my liking, and it keeps messing up my Friday schedule, but
Yeah.
it's fine. The Nuggets are fun to watch.
They are.
They are. Are the Nuggets still fun to watch?
They're they're missing some guys.
Tonight's not going to be.
Yeah, Luka might
as
do some
fun.
damage against them tonight. But, once they get everyone back, the core will be back and better than ever.
But yeah, you can see it all on Vaca TV regardless.
Hey, it's still fun to watch. I mean, you never know. I always think of it like this. Like, if the Nuggets ended up winning tonight, it's even more fun.
Yeah.
An expected win, all right, whatever. But a win that you're not supposed to get it's the best type of win right there.
I will be here at the bar watching it because it's also FAC,
Oh, yeah?
Friday Afternoon Club. Do you know about FAC?
I don't. You guys were talking about it. I thought it was like I thought it was like some joke about one of the players or something. Okay.
No. Friday Afternoon Club. So on Fridays, I do my evening Suzie show, and it is usually right before we have our little happy hour special thing going on at the bar.
Okay.
So yeah, I just kind of roll this into like an excuse to having some beers, some Breck brews downstairs.
That's a perfect excuse to
Yeah.
do that. Yeah, just roll right out of the show to the bar.
Yeah, and then 2 weeks ago, we all got way too rowdy.
Oh, sounds like a great time.
It was a lot of fun. But I still haven't recovered.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm in my 30s and my hangovers last for months.
Yeah, I mean, hey, hangover. I mean, I know Kale was coming back from having a cold. It's just that time of year, all right?
It is that time of year. We're all sick,
Yeah.
whether it's virus,
Self-induced or-
bacteria,
Yeah,
self-inflicted.
All good times.
I don't know what version we're going to get tonight. It'll
No.
be fun. But listen, okay, we mentioned the Rangers. They are hosting the All-Star Game in 2024. I talked to my good friend Rob Matwick, who is running stuff over with the Texas Rangers. I love that ballpark. Have you been to that ballpark?
I have not. And I was going to ask you, the Rangers is one of the few ballparks I have not been to.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on it?
I've been saying this ever since I visited this park for the first time last year. I think the new Globe Life is a modern marvel.
Really?
It absolutely is.
Does this one have a dome over it or like a roof over it?
It's
Is
a
it
retractable dome.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
And so even it's so cool because there's so much natural light that comes through the top.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily like a window on top. It's actually like some kind of inflatable clear bag. So it insulates.
Interesting.
So it keeps the cold air in. It's like a double-walled tumbler.
Oh, I would have never. I've seen pictures of it, but I actually, now that you describe that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
I think the retractable wall thing in baseball is so cool. I mean, because I grew up with it was Safeco Field, now T-Mobile with the Mariners. And I just always remember going, my favorite times going to games was when you show up and then the roof is open and then you get to see it close over top of you. So cool. Getting to see this just huge thing just come right over top.
I got to see that when I went to
that's awesome.
T-Mobile, and I loved it. The really cool thing about the Rangers roof is that the whole thing basically slides over.
Interesting.
And there are these brick arches that it slides over on to support it. So it's just it's real cool. But also the crazy thing, so much technology goes into building these big amazing ballparks, but the bricks, because of the arch and all, they had to be hand laid. So it's
Really?
all the technology in the world,
Wow.
and that's just one thing that humans are still better at.
Go back to the Stone Age and you just have to lay them by hand.
to get a mason.
Yeah, right? That would be a cool job.
It's so
Be able
cool.
to put the bricks out on a professional baseball stadium.
And it's massive too. It's
Yeah.
such a great ballpark. But anyway, we got to listen to what Rob Matwick had to say about it. Kale, are you ready to roll it?
We are.
Let's roll it. All right, joining the pod now is the Rangers Executive Vice President of Business Operations, Rob Matwick. Correctly, and also congratulations on
You got it.
congratulations on securing an All-Star game at your brand new ballpark. How are you feeling now that it's all out there?
Well, I guess now the work begins, right? So we've been after it here for a couple of years. It's interesting with the ballpark having been scheduled to have opened in 2020. We actually started to pursue this probably in 18 or 19 while we were still under construction, and then sort of like so much of the world, COVID sort of, threw the plan off track. But but we picked it back up, and 24 was a good year for us. And we're really excited that we were able to get the award today, or the award from Major League Baseball, and move this forward. So it's a great honor to have the greatest players in our game descend on Arlington, Globe Life Field. July 16th, 2024 will be fantastic. So we're going to try to do it Texas size, as we always do.
Yes. So I know you were involved in the bid process. What went into that you can tell us about?
Well, Major League Baseball has created a set of specifications for clubs that want to bid on the All-Star game. So it's pretty intensive. A lot of the work that we did more recently with Major League Baseball was making sure that we could secure the appropriate room block. As you know, with players, with fans, with sponsors, broadcasters, all those people that descend on your venues and your market for an event like an All-Star game, requires a significant commitment from the hotel community. And then, baseball was familiar with what we could do in Globe Life Field because of the World Series here in 2020, the Neutral Site World Series. So there were no concerns about the ballpark generally, but all of the ancillary events that have developed around the All-Star game now are what they really needed to come in and take a look at. So our former ballpark, now Choctaw Stadium, we have a new convention center, a new convention hotel being built right now, which will open several months ahead of the All-Star game. So they wanted to come in and see firsthand how we could activate other areas here in Arlington, and then also how we could fill out that room block, which we'll do primarily over in Fort Worth.
Yeah, that was my next question. You have already hosted, one of the biggest baseball events that you can have, a World Series, that Neutral Site World Series in 2020. So there's all this other stuff to add on. You've got all of the events. We know very well in Colorado, all of the frenzy that goes around a modern All-Star game. But of course, here it was planned a little more last minute. Now you've got all the time to kind of think things through. I know you guys have a great ballpark area. You've got that great bar right next door. What is that called next door?
Texas Live. Yep.
Texas Live. That's right.
Yep.
I can't believe I could not remember that.
Yeah.
So what events are you guys thinking in terms of, the next, it's a couple years from now?
Yeah, it's a fair question. Well, and actually it's about 18 months. So it's not as much time as you think.
That's true.
The work really begins now. It's interesting. I would say that Major League Baseball has come in and secured the entire block. That's one neat thing about what we've developed here is that, we have multiple venues for them to choose from. So obviously their focus going into the spring is going to be World Baseball Classic. They've got the All-Star game in Seattle coming up next July, which is going to be the primary focus for next year. So I won't say that things will calm down for us at all. One neat thing I think we'll have an opportunity to do is go to Seattle with a small group of our staff in the spring and observe one of the planning and production meetings with Major League Baseball and the Mariners personnel. And then traditionally, Major League Baseball has invited the next host city to send staff actually to the All-Star game, so that we'll be able to observe actually how the Mariners handle things and how the city of Seattle works and how they're activating. So we did some preliminary planning in terms of the ancillary events around the All-Star game. So I think what will happen over the next few months is that Major League Baseball will try to fine-tune that thinking and try to identify how we intend to activate the areas that they saw in the site visits. And then as we develop that plan, they move past World Baseball Classic and the Seattle game, then I think we'll begin to drill into the details of how we fulfill everything. So, and it's a little bit, as baseball's reminded us, they fine-tune as they go into markets and learn things. I guess fine-tune, but then they also look at what's unique about the market and how can we make this All-Star game different from the Seattle game or different from the Denver game. So it's become probably a little more market specific for the ancillary events. Certainly we know what Home Run Derby and Futures games and the All-Star game itself will look like in the buildings, but I'm sure there will be some twists and new ideas along the way. So I'm looking forward to it. This will be actually dating myself here, third opportunity for me to be with a club that's hosted a game. My rookie year back in 1986 in Houston, we had the game in the Astrodome. And that was really a blur since I was new to the game. And We had a great committee that helped us to do that, but it was really just a workout day the day before, then the game. In 2004, after we moved downtown to Minute Maid Park, had a chance to have a bigger role in the game that year. And now I'm really looking forward to doing it here in North Texas, particularly with, the being able to control the weather. I actually, as a PR director, I worked the game in '95, volunteered since it was in state. And I remember seeing on the scoreboard one day, I think it was the workout day. It was 113 degrees outside. And
brutal.
Yeah, I don't think Major League Baseball has given us much consideration after that. But now that we've solved that piece of the equation, we're looking forward to having them back and showing them a great time.
Yeah, let's talk about that big piece of the equation. You guys have the newest ballpark, and I know a lot of people haven't made it there yet. I always say it is one of my favorite ballparks. I think it's a modern marvel. What aspect of this new Globe Life are you most looking forward to fans from all around baseball getting to enjoy?
Wow, great question. Well, certainly the climate control and that experience. The walkability, I think, to me is appealing. The fact that you can sort of meander around the park and still be connected to the game because of 360-degree activation both on the main concourse and the upper concourse. The area has grown so much too. Like I say, we have a new hotel on a new convention space under construction right now. The National Medal of Honor Museum is under construction and will be open in 24. May not be quite complete by the All-Star game, but it will be far enough along that we're hoping we can actually get guests or have some type of activation in the space to show that asset off. So, it's a great question on the ballpark. And, I always like to say that I think it's unique for each individual. As you come in, my wife sees something different than my daughter, different than me. And of course, sometimes you really need to take a step back as somebody who's in the building every day and been in the business a long time, because you don't ever want to lose perspective of how other people see the building. So it's a really good question, but it's really hard to say how a first-time guest will react. Our job is to make sure that our customer service, our security staff, everybody that encounters our visitors, make sure that we show them a great time and they enjoy the experience, they enjoy Texas, and they want to come back.
Nice. Well, what do they say? Everything's bigger in Texas. So
they do say that.
You guys will do it real big. It'll be real fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to try to weasel my way down there.
Good.
July 2024. I have to.
Absolutely.
Do we know where George W. Bush is going to sit? I'm assuming he has to make an appearance.
I would think he's got a pretty good seat. I have an idea. I don't know if I can disclose it yet, but I got a pretty good idea. I know where it'll be.
That's good. I'm glad we've got that all settled. Rob, thank you so much for joining the pod. I'm looking forward to seeing the process and seeing an all-star game in Arlington. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Suzie. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you need to get to that ballpark.
Yeah, it seems like a really cool place. I was just telling you, I would rather go there than go to the Astros ballpark. If I was in Texas, that's kind of my first choice. So, yeah.
Texas is huge. Like, I know Texas is huge, but like, it really does take like a very long time to drive from like Houston to Dallas.
And you go from like one side of the state to the other, and it's like you're in a completely different environment.
Yeah.
Like you go from like the hardcore just flat desert to like you have some trees, and it's just it's different landscapes for sure. It's a big state.
It's a little trippy because when I was in Houston, I drove from Houston to Amarillo, like on my way up to Denver. And yeah, Amarillo, Texas is closer to Denver than it is to Houston.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard horror stories from Marissa, who went to college in New Mexico on the border of Texas, and I've just heard too many horror stories on that side of Texas, of like
Texas
birds dying and stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
gosh.
I know. Yeah. Wait, I stay away from that side.
That's a bad vibe. Okay, we're gonna get into some more stuff, but first we gotta get into some other stuff and talk about the American Raptors, the rugby club composed of former crossover athletes. And what's better than former athletes coming together and putting their skills to the test for the first time at a brand new thing? Are you a rugby guy?
I like rugby. Rugby is a very fun sport.
Would you play rugby?
I am 5'10", 160 pounds soaking wet, so I probably would not because I'd get broken in half. But I enjoy watching it.
Listen, I don't know.
die.
I think you should reconsider Because listen, if you don't know all about the American Raptors, they're Rugby Town USA's newest rugby team. The American Raptors are athletes who competed at the, if I could get a word out, that'd be great. They've competed at the highest level of their respective sports, and they absolutely kill it. Head over to AmericanRaptors.com. You can grab free tickets for the upcoming season, and if you can't make it to a game, AmericanRaptors.com will be streaming all of them from their website. I mentioned these guys come from all different backgrounds, like football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, soccer, track and field. They've got all of those necessary skills to excel at the game of rugby. Something to think about.
Yeah.
And the best part about hitting up an American Raptors game is that they are totally free. So head over AmericanRaptors.com, grab that free ticket. And even better, it gets even better. Our guy Colton Strickler has it all covered for you with the weekly DNVR Rugby podcast. So hit that subscribe button. If you didn't get the ticket you wanted as an elite athlete, check out the opportunities at Infinity Park. Rugby might just be your next ride. So follow him, follow our DNVR Rugby account to keep up with the latest news. You can learn rugby with Colton's 101 Rugby podcasts, and he's got exclusive interviews with athletes and coaches. It just doesn't get any better than that. All that and more at AmericanRaptors.com. All right. I don't even know how to transition. I'm not a transition guy like Patrick. Yeah. I'm just making a fool of myself. DraftKings. We love DraftKings. NBA fans, you should love DraftKings too. Basketball is so back. And listen, it's the official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can make any $5 NBA moneyline bet and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. So check it out. In addition to the usual bets, everyone can boost their winnings up to 100% with DraftKings stepped up same game parlays. So go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, opt in, place a stepped up same game parlay today. And with payouts bigger than ever, DraftKings Sportsbook is where, we all go for our NBA bets. I love it. All right, so download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code DNVR and make any $5 NBA moneyline bet this week. Get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code DNVR. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for all the details.
I had a question.
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of go back on something.
Yes.
You mentioned Tyler Kinley. We're talking about Tyler Kinley.
I realized I
and
breezed
presidential
past
Kinley.
this.
I want to hear what the backstory is on that. Why he's got that nickname.
Oh my goodness. This is such a good story. This is one of my favorites. So Tyler Kinley used to be in the Minnesota Twins organization. So their PR guy went around. I was kind of asking guy, like, hey, what are some fun facts about you? You got some fun facts. Okay. Give me the facts. PR guys love fun facts. Yeah. We know this.
Yes.
It's like crack.
That is what their job is built off of.
That's what their job. Everyone. I mean, our jobs are kind of built off of like fun facts
as
too.
Well. We're basically just PR people.
Basically. Yeah. Slightly different.
Yeah, just a bit.
For the record. Okay, so Tyler Kinley said, like, oh, you know what? I don't know if this is a fun fact, but, like, my family's always said that, like, we are descendants of President William McKinley, but our branch of the family changed the last name a little bit after his assassination to protect all of our safety. So this is just, like, a story that, like, was kind of going around for years and years and years.
Okay.
Because the PR guy tweeted it out and like no one like researched it or like did any fact checking, like so like it was
like,
in
this
like
is true.
It was like cited in AP articles about him and like USA Today articles, and like so because of that ended up on his Wikipedia page.
Wow.
So when he joined the Rockies, it was like kind of, it's one of those things that, broadcasters love finding these little facts and, they would talk about it on broadcasts. So I like heard them talking about it. I was like, is this... like, that doesn't sound true. So I personally went through his entire family tree, like back to like the 1800s, like before McKinley was president.
How did you, is there like public records of
you can go through public records. It all starts with public records.
Some investigative journalism right there.
Newspapers. I mean, I am a journalist.
Yes,
technically.
exactly. So you're diving deep.
And also, like, I low-key love astrology. Like, I'm my family astrology.
You do.
Ancestry? Oh, my God.
The last show that I was on, we talked about astrology. So maybe that's just a thing.
Oh, my God. Ancestry. I'm very into ancestry and genealogy and astrology, of course. But, yeah, so I'm like my family's genealogist.
Okay.
Ancestry digger. I'm
very
that role.
cool.
So I'm like, you know what? Let me put those skills to the test. So I looked up his whole freaking family tree, and like they had been the Kinleys since like well before William McKinley was president. Wow. So there was no truth to it, unfortunately. Someone told him a tall tale, and he went with it.
Did you like go and change the Wikipedia page at least? Make sure you
I didn't change it, so
it?
I posted this as a big Twitter thread.
Oh.
So I hope Twitter still exists because it was a masterpiece.
Yeah.
But someone else changed his Wikipedia page and cited my tweets.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, that's kind of fun. So still, regardless, I still say hail to the Chief when he pitches because he's good.
That's a good story.
He's
that
good.
Is very
it's
good.
kind of wild. It went a little viral when I did it. So it was just like,
I mean, I don't blame him for sticking with it. If someone's going to bring that up, might as well. If people are on board, just keep it.
yeah.
Why correct anyone?
Yeah.
Let the Suzie Hunters of the world go and dig and figure it out on their own.
Well, he said, I think he was doing an interview with maybe like Rox Pile, and he was like, yeah, like, you know, I'm just waiting for someone to tell me that I'm wrong. And I'm like, all right, I guess that's me.
Yeah, you're like, excuse me, sir?
I guess I'm the one.
Yeah.
Wait, is Patrick Lyons in the comments? He was. Oh my gosh.
Patrick.
First President Kinley and now President Bush. What a show today. Yeah, this is a politics show.
It is, yeah. Yep. Welcome to our show. We're talking nothing but politics.
Ethan said, Suzie, that is serious commitment.
It is. That is serious commitment.
That is. I'm very much committed. Okay, wait, hold on. I'm really glad Will Carpenter brought up Cody Bellinger because we got to talk about Cody Bellinger. This is a great transition. This is exactly what I wanted to happen. Yeah, I guess Cody Bellinger was apparently non-tendered. Yeah, we've got like all this baseball news happening.
Yeah. It's good. I always like this when this kind of thing comes up. You always get these random days in the off season where like it's just quiet, no one's expecting anything, and then like everything happens all at once. Those are always good days in the off season.
Yeah. Well, I think the non-tender deadline is like 6:00 Mountain Time today.
Yes.
So like we're getting there.
Yeah.
We are getting there.
It is a baseball day.
But a lot of people want Cody Bellinger. But I loved this tweet featuring something from Toronto Blue Jays Reddit. Kale, do we have that? Oh, we do have it. Yeah, this is Reddit's a wild place. So someone on Blue Jays Reddit said, I'll eat my local Tim Hortons urinal cake if the Jays don't sign Bellinger.
Wow.
He's exactly what the Jays need, is what the post goes on to say. First of all, I actually don't really know what a urinal cake is because I don't know anything about boys or how you live. Is it just like a thing that you pee on in your little toilets?
Yeah, it's supposed to smell nice. I think of it like an air freshener for a bathroom, but it's supposed to like make that specific spot smell decent.
It's also so it's an air freshener, but it's also soaked in urine.
Yeah, and it like soaks everything up. I don't know. I always thought when I was younger too that like it was like the smell was activated when you actually urinated on it, so that it like wasn't smelling until then. But I don't know. It's just a little pink.
What are they
sphere.
made out of?
I have no idea.
What are they, Kale? Do you know what they're made out of? No.
I do remember in high school, some kids were playing hockey in the hallway with urinal cakes, and I remember being mature enough to know that was the most disgusting thing I had ever seen at that point in my life. So from that point on, I was like, yeah, no, I try to avoid ever seeing one of those outside of an actual urinal. It's kind of a good goal in life.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I don't know anything, but it sounds like no matter what, that would be a disgusting thing to eat.
Yeah, eating that, I would imagine, even if it was like fresh out of like, I don't know, a box or something like that, I can't imagine that tastes anything but just packed chemicals together. And then, let alone if it's been used, then it's just really bad.
I think like my favorite part of this like post though is not just the urinal cake, but specifically the urinal cake from this guy's local Tim Hortons. It's so Canadian. This is the most Canadian thing I've ever seen in my life. And I've been to Canada.
Oh yeah?
I have.
Big Canada person?
I'm a big Canada guy. I love the Blue Jays a lot.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Ethan appreciated me describing urinals as your little toilets.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Thank you.
That's 100% accurate. They were just little toilets.
I'm happy we could discuss this.
Yes.
We don't. This is why you need a woman's perspective in sports.
Yeah,
so she
100%.
can not know what a urinal cake is.
Little toilets.
All right, little toilets. All right, there's some other moves that have been made in the past couple of days. There's a former Rookie of the Year coming to the NL West. The AL Rookie of the Year, Kyle Lewis, is heading to the Diamondbacks in exchange for Cooper Hummel. And then old friend news, Tyler Matwick, former Rocky left-handed pitcher, signed a 2-year contract with the Braves. So that's valued at $3.1 million with a 2025 club option. No buyout clause. Tyler Matwick is fascinating to me because he made his debut with the Rockies, but he was on the Road Goats team. Do you know about the Road Goats team?
No, I don't. It's different than the Yard Goats.
It is the Yard Goats.
Okay, yeah.
So the Hartford Yard Goats, it was announced, I guess, 8 years ago is when they announced that they were going to build a ballpark. And then in 2016 was supposed to be the first season that the ballpark was built and that the Yard Goats were going to play there. And while they were building the ballpark, there were so many delays because the city of Hartford hired a developer that had never built a ballpark before.
Okay.
So the entire Yard Goats team played that whole season on the road. They never had a home game.
Yeah.
And some of the Rockies' top talent was part of that team. Like Kyle Freeland pitched the first Yard Goats game ever. Tyler Anderson was on that team. There were good guys on that team. Marquez was a Yard Goat. It was kind of crazy.
I feel like minor league baseball can get so kind of messy in that way sometimes because there's just not a lot of resources. And then when you have situations like that where you're playing all of your home games on the road, it's weird. I actually experienced that in college. I was playing at Western State up in Gunnison, and those of you who know Gunnison or Crested Butte, which is close by, almost 8,000 feet elevation, we didn't play baseball in Gunnison. We had to actually go to Mesa to play our games. So all of our home games were actually home games for Mesa.
How far is Mesa from?
It's about 2 hours.
That's crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like, I mean, Kale probably knows. Kale, have you gone skiing up at Crested Butte?
I have.
Yeah, okay. So Gunnison and Crested Butte are like 30 minutes away from each other. You don't have clear baseball fields in May or any time around that. So, yeah, we had to go to Grand Junction for our closest somewhat decent baseball field. And the nice thing was Mesa has good facilities, and we always loved going and playing there. But yeah, our home games were non-existent.
That's exhausting.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That
Fans
is absolutely
traveling 2 hours
exhausting.
to go watch baseball. No, yeah, not
Yeah. The poor Road Goats had to live out of hotels.
Yeah.
But Tyler Matwick was one of those Road Goats, and he didn't pitch after that season for a couple of years. He was he was out of the game for a little bit. That was a tough thing to go through. So I guess you can relate to this, but
yeah, I mean, it's not the end of the world. You show up and you still play, but it is a little weird. And I feel like minor league baseballs can be messy, as I said, in the sense that it's just so hard to get settled. You know what I mean? A lot of other professional sports, their minor league system per se is a little more straightforward. Baseball is just one of the craziest minor league systems that you can have because there's so many levels, there's so many different degrees to each level. You've got high A, you've got single A, you've got double A. I mean, you've got all these different kind of steps you've got to get through and skip through to get to the pros, and it's hard to get settled. So
I can't even. It's already so hard, and then just adding that element to it. I really don't know how these guys do it.
Yeah, and you're living off of basically nothing, which is a whole different conversation within itself.
Yeah.
And so there's just all these different factors that play into it. And, and I started my broadcasting career in minor league baseball for the now Rockies single A team, the Spokane Indians. And just getting to see kind of how these 18-year-olds were starting out their careers fresh out of high school. These are kids. It's a whole different world. It's something that people are completely unprepared for. So I'm even more impressed by the guys who can make it through the whole way, especially you get guys who play 10 years in the minors before they finally make it to the bigs. It's just such a crazy experience.
I know.
But very rewarding if you can make it all the way.
Definitely. Talk about paying your dues.
Yeah, 100%.
Talk about, speaking of dudes who think they've paid their dues, We got to talk about Pete Rose.
Do we really have to talk about Pete Rose?
We do have to talk about Pete Rose. Pete Rose wrote a letter to Commissioner Rob Manfred saying that he doesn't think he should still be banned and would still want to be considered for the Hall of Fame. Wrote this big, long letter. So, well, I'll give you some snippets of it. I'm writing today for 3 reasons, he said. First, because at my age, I want to be 100% sure that you understand how much it would mean it when I say I'm sorry. So he's sorry.
What does that even mean at my... First, because at my age, I want to be 100% sure. Like, is that him saying, like, I'm old, so feel bad for me? Is like, I don't even understand
kind
what
of
he's getting
getting nodes
at.
of that, you know?
Yeah.
That kind of sounds like
Like,
that.
I'm a poor old man. I'm
Like,
so sorry.
Please, I'm just an old man.
Yeah, please don't be mean to me
Please.
anymore. It was the younger me. It's like when people get like kind of canceled over like, you know, tweets they made when they were, you know, in middle school
Yeah.
and now they're an adult and they're like, but come on, I was, 16. Like that's the kind of vibe I'm getting from him was like, oh, I was just so much younger. Now I'm old. I want you to know that I'm so sorry. It's like, I don't know.
I mean,
It's just like,
also, I don't know if you saw like what Pete Rose was up to this past season. He was invited to come back to Citizens Bank Park. The Phillies did a reunion, little old timers day. So it was like him and a bunch of teammates. Like he was saying some weird stuff to reporters.
yeah.
He was.
He seems like a weird guy.
I don't know how much he's really changed.
Yeah.
But anyway, we don't know. This is all speculation.
Totally.
I don't want this to be the podcast where Pete Rose sues us, but if it is, so be it. Okay, so I'm going to, his other point. Second, to ask for your forgiveness. Third, because I still think every day about what it would mean to be considered for the Hall of Fame. So these are the pleas that he is making to Rob Manfred. So
This is 3 pillars.
the 3 pillars.
Yeah.
Manfred responded saying that Rose will, in fact, remain banned from the league, but the Hall of Fame discussion is up to Cooperstown. So he's still banned from the league, but like he doesn't necessarily, I guess, have to be banned from Cooperstown just because he's banned from the league, according to Manfred.
Yeah.
But he's continued, he added on, like, I believe that when you bet on baseball from Major League Baseball's perspective, you belong on the permanently ineligible list.
And what I feel like I'm getting from Manfred on this is that this is just this is one of those cardinal sins in professional sports in general, and I don't think he's wrong for that. I mean, when you're betting against your team, when you're betting, as a participant in the game, and you're betting on games, it just completely impacts everything going on. So, yeah, I feel like I don't disagree with what Manfred's saying, which is rare for me. But I think he's got the right mindset with that, and that's the right statement from him.
But you know what? On the flip side of this, I totally get why Pete Rose is asking for that ban to be lifted now. Because think of all of the gambling partners that work with MLB. And we've got players who are the spokespeople for sports books. So, I mean, if that's happening... And Pete Rose can't even, go to a baseball game.
Yeah.
I can totally see why he would be like, okay, can we put this behind me?
Yeah, I get that. I get that perspective because the game has changed. It's like the idea of guys who, made it into the Hall of Fame a long time ago, and before steroids were a thing. And now you're like, okay, well, these guys aren't going to make it in now because we now found out about steroids. And, you have that argument of, well, they should be punished for it too. But I still think it's just like you did it the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah. Like you knew the rules.
Yeah, you knew the rules.
You knew the rules
you pay
in
the
that
consequences.
moment. I love this comment. DraftKings needs to start its own Hall of Fame.
Yes. Yep.
Pete
Rose will
Rose,
be your guy for that.
Talvin Ridley. Oh, poor Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
Poor
Oh
dude.
my gosh.
Poor dude. Nice. All right. Yeah. Oh, we didn't talk about the MVPs. We got MVP winners.
We do.
We do. Aaron Judge beat out Shohei Ohtani for the AL MVP. And, I mean, what a season. What a season Aaron Judge had.
My biggest takeaway from that is the fact that it's still, this decision goes to show that people still value home runs over anything else in baseball. It doesn't matter what else you do. It doesn't matter if you are Shohei Ohtani who can do anything under the moon. Home runs, if you are the home run champion, that's the winner right there.
I mean, yeah, Shohei Ohtani is my forever MVP. He's better than Babe Ruth. Like, he's he's
not
unreal.
even a question. Yeah.
He's unreal. But yeah, Judge got 28 first place votes. Ohtani got 2, but he got a lot of runner-up votes.
Yeah.
But this is the 23rd time a Yankees player has won MVP. And it's the first since A-Rod. What?
Yeah, I know,
That's
and that is crazy.
ago.
I do think it's very deserved. I think,
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I know there's a lot more to baseball than just home runs, and that's one of the things I struggle with Judge is that it is just kind of home runs. But I do feel like when you have such a crazy accomplishment like he had, you have to give it to him. I mean, this is something that hasn't happened in so long, and the way that he did it in a contract season, and I mean, just incredible. Yeah, you've got to give it to him. Shohei Ohtani put up a huge fight, and it's so hard to give it to anyone besides Ohtani, but if you're going to give it to someone else, Judge easily is the front runner.
Yeah, I mean, incredible too. Can't wait to see where he ends up. Where do you think he's going to end up?
Oh, jeez. I don't even know. I'd love to see him with my San Francisco Giants.
Yeah.
That would be I've been seeing some, conversations going on there.
Team.
Yeah, my hometown team. Exactly. But I'd love to see him with the Giants. I think that'd be cool. But I also feel like that the Giants need a lot more pieces than just a Judge right now. So I don't know if that would be necessarily their fix. So I don't know. But wherever he lands, he's going to make that team, that offense, a heck of a lot better.
And he's going to make that bag.
And he is going to make
get
that bag. Because he turned down, what, $213 million?
Yeah.
At the beginning of the year?
He turned down a really big offer, and he's like, nope, not big enough.
Which is so
Watch me hit
bold.
62 home runs, please.
I just, that to me is even more impressive. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Hitting that many home runs at any point is impressive. But the fact that he said, you know what, I've got life-changing money in front of me that I'm going to turn down. I mean, my kids will be retiring rich type of thing. My grandkids will retire rich with this kind of money. I'm going to turn that down, hope that I don't get injured or something else crazy happens, and then go put up those kind of numbers in that season.
It's unreal.
And
it's
the Yankees,
unreal.
and he brought the Yankees to the position that they were in last year. I mean, the Yankees would not have been a contender in the way that they were if it wasn't for Aaron Judge.
He single-handedly, poor guy's back. He single-handedly carried the Yankees into the postseason.
Yeah. And the Yankees were better because of him.
Yeah.
So
Those
any
fans
team
booed
will
him
be
in the
better.
postseason.
Yeah. Well, that's New York.
That.
I
can't believe that.
I wouldn't expect anything different
I'm
from
like,
New York.
He's the reason that we are here.
It's like when Eagles fans for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's like when they
Where
were
are you
booing
going?
their team a couple days ago. I'm like, what are you booing for right now? Like, come on. Like, do you see what your team is doing?
I'm like, wow,
One bad moment?
How dare New York fans do that when I do the same stuff?
Yes, true.
A nightmare. NL MVP, Paul Goldschmidt. I feel like, really didn't know if it was going to go to him. It could have gone to Nolan.
Yeah.
But Goldschmidt finally got that MVP. He's been nominated too, or he's been a finalist like a couple of times.
Yeah, he's had a very good, a lengthy career of just being consistently good. And I put a lot of stock in guys who have just been consistently good. There are guys who have kind of just crazy seasons where you're like, okay, that person's they had one All-Star season and that was great, and then they kind of dropped off the map. Goldschmidt's been that guy that's just kind of been there consistently, and that's what I like most about him. So it's really cool to see him pick up an MVP here. He's been close many years before in St. Louis and a couple times, and now he actually gets to finish with an MVP. That's impressive.
And what I liked, so I saw him in an interview on MLB Network earlier, and he said that this was like the most fun he's had in a season too. Just like playing with Nolan and having Pujols around. I loved it. It was sweet.
And it's crazy how much that plays into a factor, especially guys who are getting towards the latter half of their career. I think we saw it with Justin Verlander as well, guys who really have had a lot of success in their career, but are starting to transition. The game's starting to catch up with them, and they start to realize what's important. And I use Verlander as an example because he came back from a lengthy injury where people thought like, oh, is he going to be able to come back? And his biggest takeaway from that was, I gained some perspective when I was away from the game for that long, and I came back just enjoying playing baseball. And I think there's a ton of value in that because you get to kind of go back to your roots as a kid, playing baseball and just having fun. And you're already a great athlete, and so that just starts to translate a little bit more. You get out of your head, you stop thinking about all the little stuff, and you just start playing. And we see guys like Verlander and Arenado and Goldschmidt who are stepping up in the kind of mid to latter half of their career and playing really good baseball.
And just having fun. Isn't that what it's all about?
Yeah.
We had fun today, right?
We did. We got to talk about urinal cakes and Taylor Swift concerts and baseball. So,
And a little bit of baseball.
good times.
Usually I do a tight 45 on Fridays. We totally blew past that. Sorry, Kale. You were expecting a little more of a break between your shows. That's on me.
What's our time at? I actually haven't even paid attention. It's
This
50 minutes.
has been a nice 50-minute show. I think this is a great time to wrap it up, enjoy some Friday afternoon club. I'm going to have a couple Breck brews before this Nuggets game starts. And we're going to be back on Monday. Me and Patrick will be back on Monday. We're going to talk about the FTX stuff happening. We're going to get more into that. We're going to talk more about, I don't know, anything could happen over the weekend, honestly.
A lot can happen.
We're going to break down everything going on in the Rockies world and the baseball world. You can follow us along over the weekend on Twitter at DNVR_Rockies. Christian, where can we find you?
On Twitter, while it lasts, at CJJSAEZ. And I'm not as active on Instagram, so we're going to stick with Twitter. But if Twitter goes down, then I got to figure something out quick.
We'll update people if Twitter really does disappear.
I'll be around. I'll be around if Twitter goes down.
You can find him at the bar. It's fine.
Exactly.
Kale, where can we Kale doesn't have a microphone. He's at Kale Sorbo, Kale with 2 L's.
And I know your photography page is linked on Twitter as well, and
Yes.
that you've got some bangers on that. So
Kale's got some great photography going on up there. You can find me at the Suzie Hunter on all platforms. And listen, we had a fun show.
Did. Yep.
You know what they say about closing shows, though? What do they say? I don't know how to close one, so we will just talk to you on Monday.